It's time now for the Sports Objective Podcast. No talking heads, just guys who love sports. Here's Dave Richmond.
Welcome into the Sports Objective Podcast. A great time to be a Pirate. And I want to welcome in Bubba Rosenbaum. How are you, dude?
I'm doing well. Hope you are, Dave. Like you said, it's a very interesting time of year. A lot of exciting action going on for the Pirates on the gridiron and the hardwood.
No doubt about it. We'll have our good buddy, our brother from a different mother, Kyle from LaGrange Barber, joining us in a little while. He always teases me about having a great show, but we have two great guests, Bubba.
Yeah, we really do. That's what we're going to catch up with Dana Schrenk from Dana's Global Travel, and we'll talk to her about the Sports Objective Pirate Cruise in the summer of 2020. And then we'll also catch up with Corey Gloor, the play-by-play voice of East Carolina baseball, and also he does some East Carolina basketball play-by-play work. He already did the Navy game, and he'll be down in the Bahamas this weekend covering the Pirates, calling the action against Evansville on Friday night at 8 p.m., and then whoever the other two games are on Saturday and Sunday, since Jeff Charles will be, of course, up in Hartford for the football game against UConn.
Yeah, very excited. And Corey, we'll find out where Corey's traveling plans, his itinerary, as I know that he's going to have to pack a little bit more than he normally does. We'll be talking to him and Dana in just a little bit about the Bahamas. They did have a couple islands that were devastated, Bubba, but they have, as you can hear in the interview with her, I think it's 700 islands, just a whole bunch of islands in the Bahamas. Nassau, where we're going on our cruise, was not affected, so we'll be talking about that in just a little while. Right now, let's do a roundtable. Bubba, very exciting. I'll tell you, there's so much great news coming out of our different sports, and one I want to talk about, let's talk about Coach Cliff Godwin, baseball signing. We're talking to Corey Gloor, the play-by-play voice, as you were saying. Very excited. They had great commitments. He overwhelms me with his enthusiasm, his passion of being a Pirate. He knows about being a Pirate from Greene County, the Snow Hill area, all that, and played for one of the legendary coaches that unfortunately lost his battle to ALS, Coach Keith LeClaire, as you guys know that are listening to this podcast. And I'm just really tickled having the skipper, if you will, of somebody of his caliber, the competitor, the passion he has for the student and student athlete, as the Pirates are right at a 3.5 GPA, something he hangs his hat on. And I want to mention to folks, February the 1st, if you didn't see it on social media, save that date, because that's the date of the baseball banquet. And hopefully we can go, Bubba. I know it's a little bit of a drive for you, but I'm going to try to make that happen, and need to take the time off from my day job, so to speak, and I'll do that tomorrow, just making a mental note. But February 1st is going to be great. I assume it'll be at the Student Center. I haven't seen exactly the location, but that would be my guess.
Yeah, that's where it was last year. Beautiful new venue there, the ECU Student Center, right off of 10th Street. So definitely check that out if you have the opportunity to go. I know my parents went last year with some friends of ours, and they had a great time. I think the venue seats right around 600, something
Correct.
like that. It's give or take, but they said it was packed, and it was just an awesome evening. So I was unable to go because I know Riley had not baseball, but basketball going on at that time. So unfortunately, I could not attend, but I hope to maybe be able to go this year.
Hope so too. I think I will be able. I had a situation where it was a basketball later in the afternoon, I believe, and it was going to be hard to pull off both, and so I didn't want to let my son down, and I obviously wanted to be able to go to the event and really enjoy it, and I just show up like 100 miles an hour. I'm here. But anyway, I'm going to definitely figure out a way to do that this year. And also, folks, by the way, Bubba, on Monday, season tickets for baseball went on sale. If you're a season ticket holder from last year, or if you've never been a season ticket holder, folks, I'm telling you, it's going to be another great season by the Pirates. We've got a new pitching coach, a whole bunch of excitement with new commits for next year and beyond. And very excited about the players we have coming back. We'll be talking to Corey Gloor about that. Get your season tickets at simply dialing 1-800-DIAL-ECU. And, Bubba, by the way, you're, of the three of us on this podcast, you're probably the most tech-savvy. I just wanted to tell you, you're going to be proud of me. I forgot to tell you this on Monday. I actually renewed my season tickets for baseball online, not calling the number like I normally do. I've been doing that for many years with getting tickets for various events, sporting events and concerts. I finally came into the 21st century, and I ordered my season tickets for baseball. If I can do it, anybody can do it.
That's funny. I do think that I'm pretty good with technology, but when it comes to ordering tickets and making Pirate Club donations and things of that nature, I'm actually pretty old school. I mean, I can do it online, but I just like to speak to speak to someone on the phone to make sure there's no gray area, that everything's taken care of. But yeah, as far as baseball's concerned, just so awesome to see where this program is headed. I mean, hosting back-to-back regionals, the first time that's ever been done in school history, and maybe this year we can make it a third consecutive season hosting a regional at Clark LeClaire Stadium, and that's what you lose a ton of production, a lot of talented guys off of last year's team, guys like Jake Agnos and Bryant Packard, Spencer Brickhouse, Trey Benton, etc., Turner Brown.
Jake Washer.
Jake Washer, and the list goes on. But you have guys back like Alec Burleson and Jake Kuchmaner. Those are two that immediately come to mind. So plenty of talent and plenty of talent coming in. 20 new players on the roster this year, 12 of which are pitchers. So really excited to see how this team comes together. And like Coach Godwin says, people see some of those guys that are leaving the program and think, oh gosh, how are we ever going to replace these guys? And he said he's gotten those questions from his mom, funny enough, but we found a way to do it. When Travis Watkins left, that's where we obviously had Jake Washer step in and get the job done. And I think Seth Cadell and then the other catchers we brought in will pick up the slack where Jake's left off.
No doubt about it. And if you don't need to worry about the baseball program and the athletic program as a whole, now that we have John Gilbert and Ryan Robinson, because everything is in good hands. And let's shift to basketball. We got a great guest coming up for tomorrow's preview, but we'll be getting that later on in the program. I'm excited, Bubba, because I'm jealous of Cy Seymour and Corey Gloor that they get a tough assignment. I can't believe they have to go to the Bahamas and do basketball games, but it's a tough chore as this. I think the forecast there is 80 degrees, as we'll find out, and then it's around 40 degrees and sunshine. Kyle will tell us later on, I believe, but we'll check in with him. But he's our staff meteorologist for the Sports Objective. But in Hartford on Saturday, at least it looks like right now as we're speaking, recording this podcast on Wednesday, no rain in the forecast. So hopefully we can keep that out. That's one of the concerns that I have for the football team. But basketball-wise, it looks like that the backcourt that we've been desperately waiting to see, hey, what a way to make your debut for the Pirates and purple and gold, and you can do it in the Bahamas. Tremont Robinson, Raw White, and also Tyree Pig Jackson, the point guard and shooting guard for the Pirates, finally getting to be on the hardwood.
Yeah, very excited to seemingly have those two back. Hopefully that is the case, and they'll be suited up tomorrow night against Evansville. I know Tyree was in uniform against Liberty, even though he didn't see any action. So that was awesome to see that earlier today. I think Stephen Igo had that out there on Hoist the Colors to give him credit. We just watching us play, anybody that knows anything about basketball can tell how much we're missing a point guard and an experienced point guard. That's not a shot at Tristan Newton, because I'm absolutely ecstatic that Tristan Newton's in our program, because I'm excited to see what Tristan Newton can do off the ball. And I think in time, with the experience, that he could be a very good point guard, and he's done as much as you can probably expect him to do coming in as a true freshman. But that's the kind of the equivalent in basketball of having a true freshman quarterback in football. So Tristan, he's had at least 2 or 3 games where he's knocked down 2 or 3 threes, and you can certainly see the potential that he has. And you take a look at things. One of the big things, in addition to getting those two guys back, hopefully Seth Leday, I know his knee flared up prior to that Liberty game, and he only played 5 or 6 minutes and was virtually a non-factor. So hopefully Seth will be good to go down in the Bahamas, because we're certainly going to need that production until this chemistry and the offense can really come along, because we've been scoring there in the 60s, if not less than that, in pretty much all of our games outside of the first game against BMI, where we put up 80. So, and Seth, prior to that Liberty game up at App State, he had poured in 20 points in like 24 or 25 minutes. So
right. Really
need Seth. And then Jaden Gardner is doing what Jaden Gardner does, putting up double-doubles. You can always count on his production. And we talked about Tristan Newton. How about Brandon Suggs? Brandon Suggs has been very impressive. He's averaging something like 10 or 11 points and 3 or 4 rebounds per ball game. And he's shooting a good percentage. He's knocking down some threes. Hasn't shot a ton of them, but I think he's something like 3 out of 8 or 4 out of 9 from three-point range. And the biggest thing, Dave, we just need J.J. Miles and Batumba Baruti, those JUCOs who really haven't delivered thus far. They're both shooting it pretty poorly, to say the least, from three. We know they can do it, and they have good-looking shots. They're just not knocking them down. I know Batumba, like, I'm trying to remember who it was I heard say this. Maybe it was Cy, or maybe you actually said this to Cy. You wonder if Batumba is just a little too jacked up for the game sometimes, because there a lot of these shots, that Batumba takes, they're online, they're just long. So I think it's going to come for both of those guys, and hopefully sooner rather than later.
And we got disappointing news the last day or two, by the way. We've been bragging about 3 7-footers, Bubba. Luigi DeBow looks like he's going to redshirt. He's out for the rest of the season. Yeah,
it looks like Luigi's going to have a surgery on his foot. They weren't very specific in that injury, but it is some type of foot surgery, and he will miss the entire 2019-20 season. So now the question becomes, in addition to Charles Coleman, will Edger Luster, will he see action? Because the plan had been to try to redshirt Edger.
Right.
But
not
now,
the wrong person, right?
will Edger be some depth off the bench for the Pirates, or how will that go? And not having seen Edger in practice and so forth is not really sure what the coaches are thinking, but I would be kind of surprised if we don't see Edger kind of take on the roles that Luigi was playing, but we'll see here in the coming games.
Absolutely, Bub. I tell you what, we're going to talk more about Pirate sports, but I had the opportunity a few days ago to sit down and talk to one of my really good friends, Dana Schrenk. She is the owner, has been for a number of years, of Dana's Global Travel. We're very excited about our podcast, obviously, and our show doing very well. We're starting our very first Sports Objective Pirate Cruise, July the 16th to the 20th, and let's talk to Dana about that cruise right now. Well, back on the podcast, I'm very excited to have one of my really good friends, and we had her on, I guess it's been a month or so ago, and back with us now, our favorite travel agent and one of my best friends, and certainly I know that she's going to give us great information today about our cruise to the Bahamas next summer. Dana Schrenk from Dana's Global Travel. How are you, Dana?
Hey, David. I am doing great. Thank you. I'm so excited to be back on the podcast with you.
You're fantastic, and I could spend several hours talking about how great Dana is, but one thing I can tell folks is that one of the great things I love about you is how you put everything on the table, kind of like you're playing cards, put all the cards on the table. One of the things that I've noticed about travel, and I'll just say this before we get started, is that people give you this, it's almost like this deal that's too good to be true. And the one thing I like about you is that you go ahead and tell everybody, okay, with taxes, fees, gratuities, travel protection, all that kind of stuff, you put that up front, where there's some websites I've noticed, just doing my research, that they don't tell you that, it's $400, and then it ends up being maybe $800 or $1,000. I kind of like to know ahead of time, and that you've dealt with me for a long time, for a decade now. I like to know up front how much I'm going to pay.
Yeah.
So I always say I don't want anyone to have a bad surprise party. So because a lot of times they'll be like 7-night cruise for $199, but then it's really per person per night, and there's no taxes on that. So it's like all of a sudden that $199 cruise turns into $1,000 per person. So you just have to be careful. So I always give everyone the full rates. Yeah,
that's right. And let's talk about. We're going to set the stage again because I know there's going to be, we'll talk about safety, just everything's great in the Bahamas. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But the first thing I want to talk about, I already took advantage of it, and I want everybody to take advantage of it. We know the holiday season's coming, folks. We know that. We know that everybody that has kids, grandkids, we have presents to buy for, if it's Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever. And the good news is, Dana, you got a special going on right now. I want to tell everybody to take advantage of it. They can come on the cruise with us, and they can go ahead and start making payments now, right?
Yes, they can go ahead to reserve your spot on the Sports Objective Pirate Cruise. It is $25 per person, and you would want to get that in as soon as possible to hold your spot. And then a full deposit of $150 per person would be due by March 12th. But as of right now, you can hold your spot in the group for just $25 per person.
That's fantastic, and that's great because the good news is you go ahead and make the commitment right now on $25 a person. Like you said, the good news is another thing. I know you're going, oh my God, David said it, but the good thing I love about you is the fact that Carnival Cruise Line we're going on, they have like things where you have to make payments or whatever. The great thing about you can say take out $50 today, $100 next week, $200. You work with people. Like me, the people all the time wonder, where does this guy get all this money from? My coworkers, and I tell them I have a wonderful travel agent who works with me, and I pay for stuff a year in advance so that next summer when we go July 16th to the 20th, we'll have everything paid off. You have this beautiful vacation, and instead of having to worry about coming up with, say, $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever you have to come up with, you can make payments between now and May and have everything paid off.
Exactly. Like I have people that will do 20 payments of like $25 a week between now and when their final payment is due, and it pays off. The cruise is paid off, and it doesn't. $25 a week it doesn't sound as daunting as if you're like, oh, you owe $1,500.
Right.
So when you break it down, it's and what else? We're spending that money on all sorts of things. So yes.
So instead of drinking a whole bunch of Starbucks, you can put that towards.
Yes.
I mean, the cost of coffee is so ridiculous now, $4 or $5. No offense, I love my coffee. Everybody
I always
knows
say the Starbucks
coffee.
Analogy. Poor Starbucks, they always get.
But I'm just saying that there's stuff that we spend it on that's frivolous spending, and as much as I love my Starbucks and coffee, you can maybe don't drink, but maybe a couple coffees a week, or drink the coffee at home and don't pay for the coffee out or whatever. Same thing with if it's lunch or a whole bunch of eating out. Things like that is something my family's done, and we've saved a ton of money than some of the things we were spending it on when we first were, my wife and I were first married and stuff like that. So there's things like that. Just look at your budget, but also, I mean, you can't beat it for even some working class families and middle class families. I think a lot of times, Dana, the thing that comes to mind is people think, when they hear travel agent, that you have to be upper middle class or rich, and that's not true, because I know that maybe it's. I want to give you a plug. Can you talk about, before we dive into the deep weeds about the cruise? Can you talk about what you specialize in, and talk about your travel agency for people listening that maybe they can't go with us, but since you've been helping me out for years, a great friend, and also for the fact that. Maybe they're looking for a travel agent, or they're looking to do maybe there's some people that I know that they said, David, I love you, but I'm not getting on a boat. I'll do travel with you anywhere, but they're not going to do a boat. That's fine. If they don't want to do a cruise, they might want to know maybe another summer vacation next year.
Yes. So what I do, I've been in business now for 12 years, and I specialize in any kind of international travel. And so I will talk to somebody and see exactly what kind of vacation experience they want and what their budget is. And then I create a custom vacation for them and their family, or them and their friends, that best fits their needs. And I do both cruises, as you know, since I'm doing the Sports Objective Pirate Cruise, or land-based vacations. I do both. And I always work with people, like most of the time I'm able to work with people, and if they want to do a payment plan, or unless it's like a last minute thing where payment is due in full, but most of the time I'm able to work with people and help them come up with, a custom vacation and help them make memories.
And great, like Disney, there's all kinds of things, and you need a travel agent when you're dealing with. I love my Disney Plus. I don't know if you have that, Dana. If you haven't, folks, it's a great deal.
We're loving it.
$6.99. I can't believe Disney. Please don't go up on the price, Disney, because you've got me really loving Disney and movies and stuff. So, folks, that's a little sidebar if you love Disney, but I know you specialize in Disney.
I also
cruises.
do Disney. So the bulk of my business is international travel, but domestically, the only things I sell domestically is Disney. So, yeah.
There you go.
I love Disney. I've been there like over 30 times myself, so I definitely am an expert in Disney.
Yes, you are, and we'll talk about that at a later date on the kids in the next year or two. We're going to take them to Disney. But let's talk now about the reality is July the 16th or the 20th. We're going to leave out of, I'm so excited, one of my favorite cities. It really is such a gorgeous city. I love Charleston. I think the world of it. I really do. There's so much to do there. But July the 16th or the 20th, we're going to leave out there from port. And can you kind of give an idea, folks, what they can expect? Maybe people that have never been on a cruise.
Absolutely. So what you can expect. So if you've never been on a cruise, so it is like, especially the ship you will be on, which is, I believe, the Sunshine. The Carnival Sunshine is basically like a floating hotel on the water. Like anything you possibly need, you will find on this ship. There's tons for everyone in the family. They have like putt-putt course. They have water slides, comedy shows at night for the adults. I think they also have family-friendly comedy shows. Right. They have Dr. Seuss brunch, which is fun if the whole family's coming along. There's literally something for everyone. If grandma's coming, they've got bingo. For the kids, the brunch, the water slides, comedy club for adults. There's, dancing in the lounges and the clubs. Like, it's so fun. There's a kids club if you want to bring your kids on vacation with you, but you also want to have some adult time and not be focusing on the kids the whole time. There's a kids club, and all of that is included in what you pay for. So in the price you pay to be on the cruise, your meals, onboard entertainment are all included. Your additional expenses would be alcohol, spa treatments, and shore excursion in Nassau if you choose to do that. But otherwise, everything else is included.
One of the things I've been talking to people about, so I want to put this out there, is there are some people I think that they have to get off the boat, and I want to make that very clear. I've had to educate folks on you could actually get off the boat for just a couple hours, or not even get off the boat. You don't even have to plan an excursion. You could stay on the boat, or you don't have to book an excursion. What's great there at the Bahamas, you can actually get off the boat and walk around, maybe do a little shopping, and just get off the boat for a couple hours. And then when they say, and this is another thing I want to mention to folks too, because I hear horror stories, when they say to be back on the ship or be there, we're leaving at 4 o'clock, they mean 4 o'clock. And I'm not the best on being punctual, but David's back by like 3:30.
The ship leaves at the time it says. It's all aboard generally like 30 minutes before the ship leaves, and you need to be on there. And if you're on a shore excursion through the cruise line, they will for sure have you back. But if you, that time is not flexible, and the ships will not wait for you because the other, 3,500 people on the ship are not based on your schedules. But so don't miss the boat. I have some funny stories. That's another podcast, though.
Exactly. I've heard many, and then personally, and then obviously reading stuff of people leaving, and it was not good. So don't do that. We don't want to put that in space. But let's talk about, speaking of, one thing that I want to clear up, and I want you back on to talk about, because I'm hearing this over and over again. When people are asking about the cruise, they're excited about it. They say, yeah, but. It's one of those yeah, buts. So let's clear this up. There's nothing wrong with Nassau. I want Dana not just to hear from me. I'm not a salesman. I want everybody to go, of course, but I want Dana to be on the podcast right now to assure folks there's nothing to happen in Nassau, right?
No. So the Bahamas is an archipelago, which means it's made up of over 700 plus islands.
Wow.
So the Bahamas, it's called the Bahamas, but it's not one island. It's over 700 islands that spread over hundreds of miles. And so when Hurricane Dorian hit this summer, only 2 of the northernmost islands were hit, the Abaco Islands and Grand Bahama Island. That is not where your cruise is going. Your cruise is a few hundred miles from there in Nassau, which is probably the most popular island in the Bahamas to visit. And so the Bahamas were not destroyed. They suffered very minimal damage in the hurricane, and they are totally fine and open for business. And the cruises are still going there. You know, there's probably 30 ships there every day of the year. So they are totally fine right now.
Very excited about that. And I know that I wanted to mention that to folks. Hey, I got an idea, Dana. We have the holiday season coming up with Christmas and Hanukkah. Why not? Maybe you don't want to go on the ship. Maybe you can't go on the vacation, but you know somebody that's a cruiser, as we like to say. That's my family. Dana will tell you that our family are definitely travelers and we're definitely cruisers.
Yes.
So if you know somebody that is a cruiser that loves cruises, here's a great opportunity right now that you could pay for their cruise, and that would be a nice maybe a nice Christmas gift, a great holiday gift, Hanukkah gift, whatever. Also, maybe there's somebody you know right now, they're getting married, and that would be a great honeymoon, right, Dana?
Yep, it would be an awesome honeymoon, for sure.
It'd be a lot of fun. So how can people get, before we let you go, how can people get more information? And certainly I know that they're going to call and they're going to go ahead and book their reservation, because $25 for this cruise, I'm telling you folks, I didn't know that. Thank God for Dana C, but the fact that she's a travel agent, that's why she's my travel agent. She let me know about this deal. I didn't know what was going on.
Yes, so $25 per person to reserve your spot. And if people want to pay their $25 to be secured a spot in the group, because we only have 20 rooms in the group. So once they're gone, they're gone, and then it's on a per request basis. So then only if it's available can we get more space. And if people want to call me to pay their $25 and reserve their spot, they can call me at 919-830-4161 and just tell me you're calling to hold your spot in the Sports Objective Pirate Cruise. And I'll also give you any information and answer any questions you have when you call, or you can email me at Dana, DANA, at danasglobaltravel.com. So DANASGLOBALTRAVEL.com.
All right, Dana, love you to death, and she's been a great friend for a long time, folks. I'm telling you, folks, you got to do it. I can promise you one thing, Dana. I don't know how many people are going, but I can promise you I'm going to have a blast. My family, all of us are going to have a blast. So come and join us. We're going to have a private party Dana set up with Carnival. We're also going to do a podcast on the ship that you can be a part of. There'll be a lot of fun, and maybe some of you can come and join the show. We're going to work on that as well. So a lot of fun to be had. Dana, thank you so much, and we'll be talking to you soon and get you back on probably the first of the year to talk more about it.
Sounds good. Okay, bye.
Thank you very much, Dana. Appreciate you very much. And, Bub, I'll tell you what, a lot of people need to just simply give Dana a call, 919-830-4161. I have it on speed dial, and she loves my family because we do a lot of traveling, and we want to make sure that Pirate fans, let's get together, have a great time the middle of July. I know if you can work out the schedule, you're going to be there. We'll try to have Kyle there, and we'll keep him on a leash, I promise. And
he definitely requires one. He definitely requires one.
Exactly. He's both of you are like brothers to me, so I say that affectionately. So for people, don't take that the wrong way in the year 2019. Bubba, I want to mention one of the things I was very excited about. I know you were. You, me, and Kyle have many things in common. One is we love scheduling, and I was very excited to see from Stephen Igo, and of course, actually from give Tom McClellan credit from the Sports Information. He's the AD, the head of media relations, and they came out, the America did, with the future opponents, and you look at the schedules that we already had with non-conference. I'm just tickled to death. We've had to kind of live with the schedule, if you will, for 2019, but I'll tell you what, folks, 2020, and I want to say this, by the way, Bubba, before we get started. Someone, we're not giving them any credit, but there was someone talking about how bad the schedule was. I mean, for 2020, are you kidding me? It's a really good schedule. and we have quality opponents in the American. I'm sorry if they're not ACC opponents, but I really believe that 2020 is going to be a huge year. Season tickets are going to increase. I really feel like a lot of great things are going to happen for the Pirates, and I just want to get your thoughts on the schedule.
Yeah, we, of course, already knew 11 out of the 12 opponents, and we were waiting to see who we would play, whether it would be Tulane, I guess Memphis, or Houston instead of UConn. But, no, I think it's a heck of a schedule. Now, is there the, quote, name appeal with West Virginia, Virginia Tech, even a BYU, NC State, North Carolina, some of those teams? No, but they're tremendous football teams. There are teams that are better than those teams, and to be honest, with where those teams are right now.
South Carolina, right?
Yeah, you also have you have Marshall, South Carolina, and then you do have the FCS opponent, Norfolk State. I guess that will probably be either the second or third home game, depending on who we play in week 2, because I know Marshall's the home opener and the season opener,
right?
On Labor Day weekend, I guess it is. But
and that'll be the. And by the way, folks, we're working on behind the scenes. That'll be the 50th anniversary of the plane crash. Of course, the 50th year. It won't be that particular date. Won't be the 50th anniversary. It's one of our guests, and we love him, John Casaza, and he loves the podcast. Was a quarterback on that team that played against Marshall November 14th, 1970, as the actual 50th anniversary. We're going to try to work hard behind the scenes to do something special on that. But certainly that's going to be a very emotional game, and I hope as many former players from East Carolina, and if there's coaches, I know Henry Trevathan, I think, was coaching then. If he can make it, and a lot of different people, it would be great to have them honored at halftime and do something special for Marshall, because that's unfortunately a moment in history that we both share, that I think we've had a good relationship with the university for Marshall, but not the kind of history that you want with them, unfortunately.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So tragic. I remember when we were in Marshall, I certainly own that movie. I remember when it came out, I guess it was like December of 2006, when we were playing in the PapaJohns.com Bowl against USF. But I know our team, I think our team went to see it. But anyway, back then, I mean, that was 36 years later, and just watching it in a movie, I'm not ashamed to say that I was certainly in tears, or my eyeballs were sweating, as Coach Ruff would say. Yeah. But just I cannot imagine, and it's certainly very understandable. Like I said, I got choked up watching the movie, so I can't imagine being John Casaza, or one of those guys that were on that 1970 Pirate team that played Marshall.
No doubt, and that'll be an interesting. I can't believe it. It just is amazing. This 50 years, but. We're all getting older. I have my white in my beard now, so gray hair. So it is what it is there, and just look forward to that schedule next year. And I know that, folks, let's go ahead and Bubba, I know that we have. I want to mention something else too before we go to our next guest, Corey Gloor. You can get season tickets starting in January for our football fans out there. 1-800-ECU, ECUPirates.com. I know they're going to have a big announcement on. They'll have that coming up exactly when they will. I think that's tremendous. Kyle and I off the air a few days ago talked about that, about how they're extending the amount of months. I know Ryan's talked about it. So that's fantastic. December 19th, I believe, is signing day. They're going to do something special coming up there. So if you're in anywhere near Greenville, if you're like Bubba, you drive for a few hours for signing day and drive back. Thank God for the Rosenbaums. We need many more Rosenbaums out there, or Barbers or Richmonds. But anyway,
yeah, we certainly have plenty out there. But yeah, we're not going to turn anybody away.
No doubt about it. December 19th is going to be huge. They're planning a big party, and they're going to make an announcement there. Bubba, do you want to go to our next guest? Yeah,
let's catch up with Corey Gloor, the play-by-play voice of East Carolina baseball, and like I said, also some Pirate basketball actions being described by Corey as he'll be down in the Bahamas. And let's go to that conversation with Corey right now.
Well, Bubba, one of our favorite guests in all of our podcast history is our next guest, right?
Yeah, fall baseball wrapped up a little over 2 weeks ago, and he's also going to be calling some action for East Carolina basketball. And welcome into the show, Corey Gloor.
Hello again, gentlemen. How have the last few months been without my voice welcoming you into your podcast?
Well, first of all, I'm very happy to have you on because we're just wondering, like, what agent do you have? Because Kyle, Bubba, and I don't have your agent, obviously, because you have what was the at Navy. You have that classic. You're going to the Bahamas. You're going to be in Northern Illinois. You're going to Virginia. I mean, you're all over the place. So we're wondering. We're just lucky to be in North Carolina, and here you got. A tremendous. The gig is just unbelievable.
This month has been a nice jump back into East Carolina Nation since it's been a few months, and I've done this the last couple of years when the voice has had to go do football. I'll step in and do basketball. It has rarely been a case where this is the most games I've done in a season. This month was 5. And they're all on the road, which is a unique situation. Usually it's not this road heavy. And so this was by pure happenstance that the games that Jeff Charles could not do all happened to be around the Northern Hemisphere in some capacity.
You get to go to the Bahamas.
I do get to go to the Bahamas, and I won't lie, when the basketball schedule came out and I kind of looked at how things compared with football, I was waiting for a no-go on that one. I thought Jeff would want to make that trip. And I saw him a few weeks ago, and he said, I've been to Tropical enough. You can go do that one.
So you didn't want to go to East Hartford instead?
I mean, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, really. Hartford, Nassau. Oof, it's tough.
I think they refer to East Hartford as the Nassau of the Northeast.
It's the Nassau of the Northeast. It just the white sand beaches of East Hartford.
Right?
You can never you can't get any better in New England. So I'm very fortunate that this opportunity has come my way, not just this year, but the last few years to step in and call some basketball.
Our staff meteorologist is Kyle Barber, and I believe it's going to be 41 degrees and rain in Hartford, and I'm not sure. I haven't looked up.
I'll give you the AccuWeather update here, Dave.
Okay, and the Bahamas will be interesting to see what it's going to be for this weekend for Nassau.
I'm going to wager not 41.
Actually, improvement of the forecast Saturday in East Hartford. 45 and sunny.
Okay. I'll take it. We'll take it.
Snow Sunday.
All right.
Well, get in, get out. Get in and get out. And that's the noon
always
kick,
have a hard
right?
time
Yeah.
up there.
So that you'll be out of there by 5. Yeah, before the snow falls.
Yeah, hopefully with a Vic. Yep.
So let's talk about first before we forget the fall. I call it fall ball, but fall practice with baseball and I know the Purple Gold World Series. What can you give us some takeaways on your thoughts on ECU baseball? I'm just pumped. I ordered, by the way, shameless plug, but I ordered my season tickets yesterday, being Monday. Tickets went on sale, so go ahead and renew your season tickets. Or if you don't have season tickets, then call 1-800-ECU or ECUPirates.com, whichever way you want to do it. Get your tickets now.
Where are you sitting for the 2020 season there, Dave?
I'm back. I'm in the Kyle. I'm actually in the third base side. Kyle was with me last year, and Bubba was too. That was probably one of the coldest baseball games I've ever been to.
It was chilly that day.
It was rain, and it was like Hartford weather. It was February. It was one of the first series we had.
Radford.
It was Radford. And we were out there Sunday, and I was just like, I don't think I ever remember being cold at a baseball game. Not like that. So, but where I'm in section, oh my gosh, it is. I know it's row U. It's the third base side. I'm drawing a blank here at this late hour, but I'm excited about it.
Well, the good thing about Clark LeClaire Stadium is that every seat is a good seat. Coming from someone who has never watched a baseball game from a seat there, I have one seat, and I've never moved from that seat in, I guess, 4 seasons. But I did see some of the fall ball, some of the scrimmages, and I did actually have the opportunity to sit in some of the seats there and watch a little baseball. And it was very strange, but also very relaxing and very welcoming to just kind of pop a squat in the purple seats down there and watch a little baseball.
By the way, Corey,
how did we look? How does the 2020 baseball Pirates look to you?
I think what got me first of all is that with so many new pieces to the roster for 2020 and 20 new guys for 2020, it's like they planned it. The versatility that they were working on, particularly in the infield, was what stood out to me. I mean, you got 4 positions in the infield, and there were no less than 12 guys that I saw playing positions across the infield, and even multiple positions where guys like Francisco would play first or third, and you have Giles around the horn playing everywhere, and Connor Norby's playing everywhere, and then some of the new guys step up. I thought that was pretty fascinating to me, that with so many new guys and a couple of big holes to fill on the infield, they are, at least during fall ball, really kind of throwing all the cards out there and seeing who sticks where, who likes being where, who works better where. And so that was the first thing that jumped out to me, was that the infield has a lot of options and a lot of depth and a lot of versatility with this class coming in.
Boy, you talked about some of those big names that we lost, Bryant Packard, Spencer Brickhouse, Jake Washer, Turner Brown, Jake Agnos, you can go on. So with guys like that departing, I mean, you do have some excellent pieces returning, guys like obviously Alec Burleson's one of the ones that immediately comes to mind, Jake Kuchmaner. So let's if you want to, let's take a look at it around the horn very quickly, but let's start off behind the plate. We have Seth Cadell returning. He's a guy that had a little over 80 bats a season ago, and he would start when I guess it was when Kuchmaner was on the mound. And tell us a little bit about Seth.
Well, and he's kind of one of the guys in fall ball that Seth is, at least when I was around him, was a pretty introverted, stays pretty quiet guy, and then he'll have sudden outbursts. Like all of a sudden you'll just hear him, and when you hear him, it resonates. He can bellow with the best of them. And so he was becoming a lot more vocal in fall ball, because there are 4 catchers on the roster, and it's not just him being the only guy that's been around here, but 3 pretty talented guys that are now coming in as catchers behind him, that will not just kind of push him to be a leader, but push him to be a more impact player behind the plate. When he hits them, they stay hit. I mean, they go forever. I think for him, it will be consistent production at the plate. That will be the biggest thing, because he doesn't have a ton of at bats under his belt in 2 years, because Jake Washer is such a workhorse. He's going to get that first crack to be the everyday guy, and he's got the tools and the mentality to do it over a long run. It just hasn't been put into practice yet.
Tell our listeners about some of those guys you referenced as far as the ones that will be pushing him.
Yeah, the one that stood out to me when I was there was Matt James. He's a JUCO guy from Washington, and he made the biggest impact outside of Cadell from what I saw, especially defensively. I thought he was a really solid sponge behind the plate. And then Justin Wilcoxon and Ben Newton are the other 2 guys that to be honest, didn't see a ton from them, just me watching. I mean, it doesn't mean they weren't producing, but I saw a good amount from Matt James that I was pretty impressed with. And you got a guy who's played a little bit of ball in him, and I liked what I saw from him, especially behind the plate.
I want to ask you, Corey, as far as one question I have, and then I'll ask you. I know I saw on Twitter a few days ago, maybe a couple of days ago, the folks on the jungle, they're pushing really hard for you to call a game out there. Are you prepared to do that? Are we giving you enough notice between now and will the university let you do it?
I think that's the question. It started with Eric Ward from the marketing department tweeted out that he was putting some promotions together, and someone requested a Bark in the Park night, which I am always a fan of. I think every night should be Bark in the Park night, but I did make the declaration that if that were in place, then I would want to maybe call a game from where all the dogs are, and that would be in the jungle. So I'm ready to do it. I think technologically we'd be able to pull it off. We'd have to probably work some avenues to make that happen. But if there was enough notice, I'm willing to try it. Even if there is no Bark in the Park, I would love to try and get out to the jungle for a game and call from out there, because that is, like I mentioned before, I haven't watched a game from Clark LeClaire Stadium outside of that press box. And doing it from the outfield would be a pretty unique experience and a pretty fun challenge for me.
Just to clarify, the Bark in the Park is where you bring dogs to the park. It's not where only ugly girls are allowed to come, right?
Oh, wow.
It's not when you just bring trees.
Okay.
Everyone plants a tree.
Nice save.
Neither would have said. Okay, you plant a tree. All right.
No, it is
for
about
Arbor Day. Gotcha.
It is for Arbor Day. No, it's all the good dogs are in the ballpark enjoying a lovely night at the yard.
Yeah, my dog could not come. She does not know how to behave herself around strangers. Bubba can testify. So
Kyle speaks the truth.
Yeah, Corey, you almost became another permanent co-host, because I think Bubba went over to Kyle's house, if my memory serves me right, and Nikki didn't like him. Of course, she doesn't like anyone, but I just thought you almost became a permanent co-host.
She loves me.
I'm sure she's still a very good dog, because all dogs are good dogs.
Yeah, she's a great dog. She's just very protective, and she thought Bubba was going to hurt me. So.
And that might be possible. I don't know.
Fears weren't unfounded.
Maybe that's why the dog was upset.
Maybe.
She was on to something there. Corey, I wanted to ask, there was the gentleman's name, the kid, the recruit, we signed yesterday. I think it's a right-hand pitcher from South Brunswick. It sounds like coach was very ecstatic, as he's a great right-hand pitcher and infielder.
Yeah, the name escapes me. I saw who you were talking about as well. We've discussed this at times before. I kind of dive into the next class once the previous season ends, but I know yesterday was signing day around college baseball, and it doesn't take a lot for Coach Godwin to really get excited, especially about incoming guys. He had some pretty visible reaction on social media about this kid yesterday. So, I mean, it always kind of keeps churning with this program and college baseball in general. This feels like a dead time for baseball right now. It's not. And this is when Coach Godwin, Coach Palumbo, Coach Dietrich really start hitting the pavement to try and bring guys in for upcoming years. And they got what appears to be a guy they're very excited about yesterday.
One question I had as far as pitching is concerned, and we're going to, folks that want to know, we'll do a deeper dive when it comes to positions and all that. We're kind of having fun with Corey tonight, and appreciate you coming on. I know you've got do you have your bags packed, by the way, for the Bahamas? I'm about 98% packed. Just little, toiletries, all that stuff, the usuals that usually get thrown in last minute. I'll do that tomorrow morning. Don't you worry. I used to travel so much with my job coaching and teaching that I had a bag like a good soldier. I don't know if you do that, but I had like a weekend kind of bag or a few days ready to go, pretty much, except for a few things to put in like clothes and stuff. But I had a suitcase in the closet ready to go in case you never know when you're going to be on the road. So
see, with baseball, and because every series is me traveling with baseball, from either driving to Greenville or driving to the airport and flying somewhere, I've become pretty efficient at packing over the years. This is I'm gone for about a week and a half starting tomorrow, so this is a little bit more of an operation, and I will forget something, but I've become a little bit of a professional now at throwing things into a suitcase and leaving.
Sounds like fun. As far as I want to ask one question because he's one of my favorites. Gavin Williams, do you know if Has he stepped up to the point of where we can count on him as being a starter? Or, I mean, I love him as a pitcher, so if he's going to be out of the bullpen, have you heard anything?
Well, I think he will get, this is speculation here in November, he will get a starting chance at the beginning of the year, whether it's first weekend, whether it's first midweek. He's one of those 4 candidates that comes to mind right away to be a starting pitcher. I think you can only take too much from one performance in a sophomore year, but he showed a lot of moxie in the regional, starting that clinching game on short rest and giving he's a very introverted guy, and he was very extroverted, and he said, I want the ball, give me the ball. And what was the biggest game of the year, and he pitched really well on very short notice. He has the stuff. We know the velocity's there. Now we've seen a slider. I think the key is finding that third pitch, and I think this is where Jason Dietrich will come into play to kind of fine-tune, to tweak a changeup out of that, to see if there's any movement on that fastball he can add. And once he develops that, then he's a shoo-in for weekend rotation from where I sit, because it's hard to find a guy in this conference with better stuff than what he can bring to the table on a regular basis.
It's going to be great, interesting. Let's talk about certainly this weekend with the Bahamas. I'm still jealous. I wish we could be there with you, but I did.
It's a work trip, Dave. It's a work trip. I will not be. I will be honed in for the entire time. There's no other way around that.
I mean, you get to hang out with Cy Seymour. I mean, doesn't.
It's not work with Cy. Like my arm hurts because he what people I don't think know. You guys have talked to Cy a few times on this, but when I'm calling a game with Cy, I've called 3 with him now. He's very active and animated, not just what he says, but also what his hands are doing, and that involves a couple of punches in the arm. And so I can leave battered and bruised from a Cy Seymour broadcast, and I did a little bit at Navy a few weeks ago, and now 3 in a row over this weekend. I'm going to need some medical attention here.
Corey, I don't know if it's still on YouTube. I don't know if it's still on YouTube or not, but if you've never heard Cy's call from the win in the CIT tournament over Weber State from a few years back, it is one of the greatest calls you will ever hear in your life in college basketball.
It's what an ironic thing to bring up, because the first opponent coming up this weekend, the Pirates ran through on the way to that CIT title back in
that's right, Evansville. The Goliath players, the Purple Aces.
Purple Aces.
Yeah, took out Kentucky a couple. Well, I guess it's been about a week
last
ago
week.
now.
Yeah, that adds a bit of spice to the matchup here, doesn't it?
Yeah, then almost beat SMU earlier this week. Lost by a week too.
They've had some very tight games outside of their one Division II school that they played. Every game that they've played have been 1 or 2 possession games, including that Kentucky game. So it's going to be a pretty stern challenge for the Pirates Friday night.
Yeah, Corey, the whole tournament, really, if you look at it, we just lost to Liberty by 20. They're in the Bahamas. Then you got I don't know what kind of team GW's got this year, but it's an A-10 opponent.
Rebuilding.
Yeah, they're down.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah, it's an interesting field, because Liberty is the kind of the class of the bunch right now, and it's possible you see them again after seeing them last week. But all the other teams in the field are in that mid-major level that are in the early stages of working their way back up to where they want to be, or where they were not too long ago. So it's a tournament that may not have a lot of kind of pizzazz. That's the word of the last week. But I think it's a fascinating field, and it should lend to a lot of really good, tight games over the next couple of days in the Bahamas.
You know, Corey, I was telling Bubba, I know I'm a tournament nerd, but I checked the website, and the tickets for the whole tournament are only $40.
I mean, it's a great bargain. Like, if you get out there, I mean, it's if you find a way out there on short notice, you're going to see a lot of basketball for not a lot of money. And now it's that they moved the tournament site from the gym that they were going to play in Nassau to the resort. And so if you stay at that resort where everyone's going to be, you can just walk right down to the ballroom and go to all these games and then go to the beach afterward. Yeah, they had to move it because the gym that they were going to play at, there's still displaced residents living there from Hurricane Dorian. And so they had to relocate here to the ballroom at the Bahamas. So if you can get out there and get into that resort on short notice, you're going to get a lot of basketball here for not a lot of money.
They actually had a shuttle that they were charging $40. I thought it was ironic because of that gym. I didn't realize that. So I was saying, man, the shuttle ride is as much as the tournament ticket.
No more shuttle needed. Don't you worry.
Oh man, that's excellent. I tell you what, I'm very excited about it. By the way, one of our friends of the podcast, Ryan Robinson, wants to win. He wants to win that Evansville game more than anybody because his beloved alma mater is Kentucky, and he's one of the biggest basketball fans you'll ever meet. He loves Kentucky basketball, as you can imagine. I have a feeling, working for East Carolina, having his Wildcats lose to Evansville, if there's anybody that wants to win the game as much as we do, it's probably Ryan Robinson.
Yeah, I saw Ryan at Navy when the Pirates were up there, and his love of basketball was kind of exposed to me then. I think there's one guy who may want to win it more than Ryan, and that's Tristan Newton, because his older brother is a guard for Evansville. So, so you have the week before Thanksgiving, you have a little brotherly love that will play out Friday night with Tristan and Juwan.
Speaking of Thanksgiving, Corey, what's the plans for the holiday?
Well, part of my week and a half here of journeying around the hemisphere is right when we get back from the Bahamas on Monday. I'm flying back home to Illinois, and I'm going to spend Thanksgiving at home. And then I will head on to Harrisonburg on Black Friday and call the James Madison game for Pirate basketball. So that is the tour of Corey Gloor here to finish out November.
So you're not just going to Harrisonburg to hit up the Harrisonburg Walmart Friday morning?
No, I'm not. I will sadly be missing that experience. I mean, the Walmarts back home are way too crowded. Harrisonburg, that's more my speed on Black Friday.
So, out of curiosity, Corey, we're on the subject of Thanksgiving, and you're going home to. You're from Wisconsin, correct?
I'm from Illinois. Most of my sports roots lie in Wisconsin, however.
Okay, all right. So when you go home, what is this? I mean, obviously, don't tell me turkey and dressing. Give me something unique you guys have on Thanksgiving besides the obvious norm.
Well, sweet potatoes aren't unique, especially down here. But my grandma for years would make sweet potatoes and just drown them in bourbon. And so that's become our kind of go-to. The entire family has a problem, and it should be telling that Grandma's not going to be at this Thanksgiving. She's out in Colorado, and we're still making these.
All right, Grandma's in Colorado.
Grandma's in Colorado. She doesn't
not
need
just an alcoholic.
So that got me to like sweet potatoes, was putting alcohol in that, and that's been kind of the go-to for me, is taking a pretty healthy side dish and just destroying it with bourbon.
You should try.
Kids don't drink under it. Kids don't drink. Drink responsibly.
You try string beans with tequila. Excellent.
Ooh, not bad at all. Not bad at all.
Oh my gosh.
Corey, you got anything else?
I was going to say, one of the things that folks obviously think of when they think of Thanksgiving is football, be it college or pro. And so with the new college football playoff rankings coming out tonight, Corey, what do you think of those? Have you seen them?
I've seen them. I'll be honest. I probably forgot them. I know LSU, Ohio State. Nothing's changed, right? LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, and Georgia. With I thought maybe Oregon would be 5 and Alabama 6, but we're in mid-November. This will all sort itself out. This is the one year where it feels like everything will actually sort out now, where LSU is in, Ohio State is in, and Clemson is in. Like, I don't think there's anything that can happen to those three that's going to change them not being in. It's all about one more spot, and that will get sorted out. Like, it's, Alabama, Georgia, one of those two is already going to get knocked out. The other one's going to get knocked out probably in a title game, a conference title game. And then if Oregon runs through the Pac-12, then they're in. I mean, that's kind of where we're at. Maybe Utah has a crack at this, but that's where we are, where this seems kind of cut and dry this year, whereas last year there have been plenty to debate. This thing was made to debate for 6 weeks and not make anybody happy. This is the first time where I've kind of seen it. And like, yeah, this kind of is sorting out the way I thought it would. So the three are in, one spot's left, and that'll all get figured out in the next couple of weeks.
And Corey, the last time we spoke, I mentioned how Lovie Smith at Illinois was terrible and they needed to go ahead and fire him.
Wow.
Yeah, did not see that coming.
This is, if we
I don't
want
think
to get
you
a
did
little
either.
insight. No. It's a little inside baseball. We've talked before, and technical difficulties crept in. So we were railing on Illinois in a non-released recording of the Sports Objective, and they went around the lost episode. It'll be on the B side,
That's right.
And ever since then, they upset Wisconsin. They're now bowl eligible after a comeback over Michigan State.
Yep.
I mean, I haven't been back home since this all started. I know a couple of Illini fans and family members that like them or went there, and this came out of the blue. And I would have to imagine there's surprisingly probably a Coach of the Year thing. If PJ Fleck tanks, then there's a Coach of the Year award coming to Lovie Smith here for the Big Ten. But that was unexpected. I did not expect this from the Illini.
And and Corey, there's probably some fans disappointed that he's kind of turned the corner, so to speak. There were people that are ready to run him out of Champaign. They were ready for it.
I mean, they just gave him an extension, and that did not make people happy up there.
And then he's gone after the turnaround. That was before.
That was right after last season ended.
That AD is wiping his brow right now. Wow.
Yes, that's an exhale, and this is gonna overshadow a little bit what basketball does, because it's always been more of a basketball community in school there, and there's not a ton anticipated from them. So, I mean, tip of the cap to the Beard for doing something that not one person really thought was possible here, and that was win at Illinois.
Yeah, and that's a place that, I've not well traveled, but I have spent some time in Champaign-Urbana, and my best friends in the world live there. I have a great memory of being in my early 20s and being there on the campus of U of I. There's a little gyro place, or I guess you call it gyro.
It would be Euro.
Gyro,
G is a Y, yes.
Yes, that's right, yeah. Little gyro place that had 99-cent gyros every Wednesday, and we went there and would get gyros, and so I have fond memories of that campus.
It's there are always one of those places or multiple of those places in college campuses where the food is cheap, probably shouldn't be eating it sober, and they're open till about 4 a.m. For DeKalb, Illinois, it was always Burritoville. Do not ever eat it sober. Ever eat it sober.
So like Waffle House.
Now Burritoville, is that a Chipotle style burrito bar type place, or is it
worse? All right. It's more standard Mexican food in the style of a Chipotle. Like you order at a counter, you don't ever see them make it, which is concern number one. And then you open it up and it's just soaked in grease. And everything is just the same texture, and it shouldn't be. And it's appalling, especially when you're actually coherent enough to see it. I wouldn't say I liked it, Kyle. I just said it filled a stomach for a period of time while I had other things that I was consuming.
Hey, if you if you ever pass through Goldsboro and you want that except good, there's a local burrito place called Bonfires. Fantastic. Everything's fresh. You can wash and make your food. It's excellent.
All right.
You put that check on the checklist. I'm sure you've always wanted to go to Bonfire, Corey, and you haven't gone yet.
Hey, there's Bubba and I still haven't hit up that bacon place in his neck of the woods yet, and I'm still waiting on that.
Bacon place?
It was called it was Crispy's, but
did it close?
It did not close, but they changed names. Why I do not know. But I think there were some minor changes to the menu, but a lot of the things that I've had that I was a big fan of, I think are staying on the menu. So, but yeah, we'll still have to check it out.
So is it a bacon only restaurant? Well, not bacon only, but does everything have bacon on it, Bubba?
Pretty much everything, if not everything. Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
In some way, shape, or form, be it grilled chicken with bacon or a bacon burger or things that aren't quite as common. Like there were, and some of the things I never heard of, but very good. They had Southwestern egg rolls that were wrapped in bacon that were awesome.
That sounds good. I mean,
yeah.
If you've ever been to Duck Donuts, with many locations now throughout eastern North Carolina and southern Virginia, they have maple bacon donuts.
That's the sponsor of the Sports Objective? I love Duck Donuts, but is that a sponsor?
Yeah. I'm trying to work it out.
Yeah, well, they'd like to be, they can just give us a call. I mean, sure,
they can pay us a maple bacon donuts. That'll work too.
All right. Well, the Duck Donuts, I think that pretty much killed everything, but I think I appreciate that. No, seriously, I know it's getting late. I tell you what, Corey, I know you've got to pack, and I appreciate the visit once again. You're tremendous. Looking forward to. I'm going to be jealous. By the way, you're going to invite people to definitely tweet. We can finally get Kyle to tweet this weekend, maybe.
Well, here's what I'll say. It is harder to pay attention to Twitter in the flow of a basketball.
Right.
Because it's always in motion. I will gladly encourage people tweeting at me, tweeting while listening to the broadcast. Friday night, 7:30 airtime. Don't want to push it, but it's. I don't know if I'll be able to acknowledge you on air like I'm able to do during a baseball game, because things just go so rapidly during a basketball game that. Who knows? We'll see how the weekend plays out. I got there's 3 games on tap this weekend in the span of 3 days, and maybe there will be some time to give a shout out or two. But either way, I love hearing from you all whenever you listen, and when I can return the favor and mention you and thank you on air, then I try.
And I guess no movie lines.
That might. I'm not writing it off. There's a lot of games this weekend.
It is the holiday season there, Corey. You could sneak in a line from Christmas Vacation, bend over and I'll show you.
Yeah, I think we opened this with you being jealous of the opportunity that I have here, and now you immediately want me to ruin it.
No, we're not. We'll save it for. I tell you what, we'll save all that for certainly for baseball.
For mid-February.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have enough time to come up with hopefully some good material between. I know Kyle's going to be working.
I don't know about good material, Dave, but it'll be material.
We'll do it. Well, Corey, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you, and I look forward for the call this weekend. And certainly, I know hopefully we can be talking about next time some Pirate victories.
Yeah, I love joining you, gentlemen, and I hope you guys are tuning in this weekend throughout the tournament, and I will do my best to make sense on all these calls. And have a wonderful, happy Thanksgiving to you, gentlemen. And if I don't talk to you before the end of the year, have a happy holidays.
All right,
same to you, man. Thank you very much, Corey. Tough man. We've got to get a better agent, Bubba. He's got all the great assignments. And where's Corey Gloor? He's going to be in the Bahamas. He's going to be in Northern Illinois. Wait a minute. No, he's going to be in Harrisonburg, like Kyle said, at the Walmart. So very, very fun time for him. Very proud of him. He's been very generous to us, this podcast. From the very beginning, I talked to him solo before you guys were officially a part of the team in July of 2018. He came on a couple of times and just amazing. Appreciate him very, very much, and look forward to him calling the action as he'll be keeping us close to what's going on. And by the way, before I forget, Bubba, before we go, I want to mention disappointed to see that Lady Pirates losing on the gridiron. Listen to me, on the on the court today. I think it was 53-40 of VCU. I think it was Shonda Monk. Here, I'm going to be a stats guy. I believe she had 16 points, so she's the best player on the team. And we're just praying really hard for Kim McNeil. We know that they have a great program and they have a great plan, and just want the success. Nobody wants more the success for her more than me.
Yeah, LaShawna Monk had a nice game, and then you also have on the season, Tanaya Thompson and Raven Johnson. They've been doing very, very well also. But it seems like in the last several games, and just haven't been shooting the basketball very well at all. And like I said, I don't know about today, but through 3 or 4 games, we had been taking pretty good care of the basketball. So hopefully the offense will come along, and we'll get some wins here in the near future.
Sounds good, and I know that, again, another example of, we could give many examples, the coaching staffs. There's 19 sports at East Carolina, and I think, Bubba, when I said at the top of the show that it's a great day to be a Pirate, it's a great time to be a Pirate right now, because if you look at our Olympic sports, if you look at the revenue sports as well, from top to bottom, even though football is not where we want it to be, basketball, men's and women's, maybe not where we want it to be, I think you can see the vision, you can see the plan, and we want to make sure here pretty soon we're going to have on, once again, Philip Wood on for the Pirate Club. I want to remind folks to donate to the Pirate Club as simply as, like, if you have a Netflix subscription of $9 or $10 a month, that's the only investment you have to make for, I think it starts out $100 to be a Pirate Club member, and it's one of my things I really want to see in 2020. And we'll have our New Year's show, I'm sure, in several weeks. But I want to make sure we see that Pirate Club memberships numbers go up, and for sure. Hey, Bubba, before we go, I know we've got a big, we got a big show coming up for the preview, right? Well, actually, I can tell you, Bubba had to go, but we actually have a great show, as we'll have on for the preview, Alex Putterman from the Hartford Courants. We'll be talking about UConn and the potential last meeting we're going to have there. Then we have, we'll have with us Josh Franklin. He's a tournament director from BDG Sports, as they're putting on the Islands of the Bahamas Showcase. We have him, and obviously, Bubba, I know are you back with us now?
I am.
Okay. I know we have a great coach, the coach of Evansville. Very happy to have Walter McCarty. We're going to have him on, as well, as they had the big victory over Kentucky. We'll be talking about him beating his alma mater and a whole bunch of stuff. And before we go as well, I want to remind folks, please like our Facebook page. We have a lot of people doing that, but you can do that. You can also we have a very special page, the Pirates Cove, presented by the Sports Objective, and you can go there, talk all Pirate sports. We're not going to charge you, and we're certainly not going to put you down or cuss you out or anything, so go there. On Twitter, it's at the Sports OBJ. Instagram, you can follow us at the Sports Objective. We're everywhere, pretty much social media. And Bubba, do you have anything before we go?
No, I don't. Like you said, just be sure to check out that UConn preview, and also the preview of the Islands of the Bahamas Showcase. 3 tremendous guests, and I know Pirate Nation will really enjoy that show.
I want to thank Brennan Shapiro, who is behind the scenes, been working his tail off, helping us out as much as he can. He's got studies to worry about, and he's been helping us out a lot. I don't say that enough. Thank you, Brennan. He listens to the podcast. He was actually a fan of the podcast before. Now he works on the show. It's really cool. And then he's been helping us out a lot behind the scenes. Thanks to Kyle Barber, who helps us out, not only his commentary, but also promoting the show. Bubba, man, thank you so much. You always, I need to be thanking you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365, for all the hard work promoting and helping me out, and definitely all the booking of the guests and everything. I appreciate you. I want to say that before we go.
Absolutely. I appreciate the kind words. I do it because I enjoy doing it. I certainly love chatting with all the guests that we've had on, and those sorts of things. And thank you for everything you do with the production and everything else to make the Sports Objective podcast possible.
In fact, we're working on 2020. It's going to be a huge year for us. Lots of stuff to cruise, as we talked about, and improvements of the show, and we'll get into that at a later date. For our great guests, Corey Gloor and Dana Schrenk, and of course, Kyle from LaGrange Barber and Bubba Rosenbaum, I'm Dave Richmond for the Sports Objective Podcast.
You've been listening to the Sports Objective Podcast. Join us next time as the guys will be objective, and the objective is sports.